Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the East Riding of Yorkshire series. Together with the unparished city of Hull, it forms the county of the same name. There's 172 parishes here. Which one are we in today? Welcome back to the East Riding of Yorkshire once again, people, where we come to one of the smallest in the county. It's so small that this one doesn't even have a walking route. Basically, most of this is going to be done in the car between certain points. There are two settlements here though, believe it or not. One of them is called Colum and the other one is called Cottam. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Cottam, Cottage Village. For the second time on TVI, we come to a place called Cottam. Last time we were in Nottinghamshire, and if you want to watch that video, it'll be linked in today's end screen. However, this is the East Riding version and it's wildly different. In Nottinghamshire, we were focused mainly on a power station, but here it's about two churches, two deserted villages and a former RAF base, which all occupy a neat little corner of the East Yorkshire Wolds. Cottam Parish is a bit of a strange one if truth be told. There are two settlements within it, but it's actually Colum that's the larger. Cottam effectively is the secondary hamlet. Mind you, there's not a great deal to choose between them. They both have religious buildings. Colum's is on the Sykes Churches Trail and it's located in a farmyard. Cottam's is in the middle of a field and in a much worse state of repair. It's the RAF base though that's the most interesting thing up here. RAF Cotum has a unique piece of history because it was actually never used, or at least not for its intended purpose. Normally at this point I'd say let's get walking, but we can't. There's no actual village to walk around, so instead the vast majority of this one was done in the car. But given the horrid weather, maybe that was a blessing in disguise. Let's go. So as I said at the top, there's no walking route in this one. It's effectively a drive between certain points. And to start things off, we're in Colum. This is a tiny place, but it does still have a church. And we can get to the church. This here is Church Farm, okay? And this is a public bridleway, so you've got absolutely every right to walk down here. The church is just off to the right. Let's go and find that to start with. Colum's church is dedicated to St Mary and it's hidden away in the depths of a farmyard. Despite that, it still forms part of the Sykes Churches Trail. Small, medieval in origin and possessing a Norman font, St Mary's was last restored in 1852 to a design by Mary E. Sykes, the daughter of Sir Tatton Sykes, the 4th Baronet. Inside are some fascinating carvings. Indeed, one is a depiction of good wrestling with evil. It's actually a depiction of Jacob and Esau reconciled to each other. Now, we have seen this kind of setup before in the East Riding of Yorkshire, where there's a church inside a working farmyard. It's exactly the same here. And you can't go any further than this point here because there there are signs that tell you can't, and there's also CCTV. There's a big sign just there saying private land, no public access or right of way beyond this point. So if you are going to come and have a look at the church here in Colum, then please don't go into the farmyard and having a look around all the other buildings, because you know you're not supposed to. Right, time for a little drive next. The church at Colum is all that remains of a 17th century medieval village which became depopulated over time. The modern version consists of the 2 farms that were left behind and a set of more modern properties clustered around Colum Grange Crossroads, of which there are only 8. In the Bronze Age, Colum was also an encampment, and the remains of that can still be seen on overhead maps thanks to earthworks. They're located around half a mile away from the hamlet. Colum isn't the only village in these parts that no longer exists in the form it once did. The same is true for Cottam, only this time you would seriously struggle to find any form of settlement at all, modern or ancient. This is reflected in the population of the area. Combined, Cottam and Colum have less than 100 residents. The parish is the least populated of any in the East Riding. According to a dictionary of British place names, Cottam is an Old English name and it means place at the cottages or huts or cottage village. So what happened to it? Well, it was Anglo-Scandinavian in origin and like Colum became depopulated gradually throughout the medieval period. The 1823 census recorded a population of just 16. There can't be many more than that here now. Made of brick and not stone, all that remains of the village today is the now derelict Holy Trinity Chapel, which was rebuilt in 1818 and again in 1890. And that can be found in a field off this lane, but accessing it isn't easy. So as we know by now, with deserted medieval villages, there's usually a load of earthworks, and that is certainly the case here. You can see plenty of them in this field. There you go. Now there is one surviving feature of the village. There it is, Trinity Chapel, which is very much in a derelict state. I can see from here that there are some roof tiles missing and it looks a little bit dilapidated and worn down. Now my original plan here was to walk across to the chapel, but with the weather the way it is, I don't think it's going to be a very sensible idea. It's very muddy underfoot, and to be fair, I can see from here, I don't know whether you can, there are railings around it, which suggests to me that it's definitely not the kind of place that I want to be setting foot, quite frankly, because you never know, it could be dangerous. There may be some uneven ground, and there could be some masonry that might find its way onto my head if I'm not careful. But there you go, that's what remains of Cottam. If you want to come and have a look at it, by all means do, but just pick a day that's got a bit better weather, unlike today. But be careful, of course, if you are standing within a few feet of it. Okay, now there's one more thing I would like to cover in this episode. I told you it was going to be a short one. You may have noticed this road that we were driving on. It's concrete. It's not like a normal road, like a normal tarmac road. This is one of the roads that would have led to a former RAF base. And at the end of this lane is the RAF base, although you're not going to really see it from here. However, I do know there is a place where I can stand and talk a bit about it. And it's quite an interesting one, this, because it was never actually used. Immediately south of the lane on which we've just seen the chapel is the former RAF Cotum, and we're looking down one of its runways here. It's now in agricultural use, hence the big building you can sort of see. RAF Cotum is unique. Despite being built as a bomber airfield as a satellite to RAF Driffield, poor weather conditions meant it was never used for operational flying. Instead, it was mostly used as a bomb storage facility. It was still constructed with the standard 3 runways, all measuring upwards of 3,500 feet. The airfield was used temporarily as a dispersal site in 1940 after a devastating raid on RAF Driffield, which rendered that non-operational for a while. Cottam remained open until 1954, with 3 RAF maintenance units making use of its facilities. The watch office was demolished in 1980, and now it's totally civilian, with little to give away its past. And that's it for Cottam, folks. It's a tiny one, isn't it? But who says the smallest can't be full of intrigue? See you next time. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.